It's a Thursday. This is Section 1904. I'm Darren Smith. He's John Gennaro. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing to Section 1904. Those of you who had the front row seat delivered right there to your inbox today, there's a story that John and I are going to zero in on. I'll let that marinate here for a second. But John, it's Thursday. You were just telling me you're getting set. You got a kid that's going back to school here in the next couple of weeks. So how are you spending the last couple of days or weeks knowing that you will have a child in school here before too long? I'm curious about this.
I mean, I'm trying desperately to not get sick, which is hard because at the current moment, my daughter is sick with a cold. This is on Tuesday after we recorded, I had to go and pick her up from school because she was so symptomatic. Yesterday, she rested on the couch and watched TV for most of the day, and to the point that she got tired of it, bored of it, and we all thought she would wake up healthy today. She did not. So now we're gonna hope that she wakes up feeling good tomorrow. So I'm parenting and doing all that. But yeah, we really thought that you always expect the start of the school year, everyone's gonna get sick. It's new germs flying around, all that stuff. So I thought I had a few more weeks before I had to deal with this. But no, I'm spending the last few weeks of summer probably sick. Have plans this weekend to both swim in the pool and to go to the beach with some friends and some family. And I'm just hoping I'm healthy enough to do that, Darren.
Okay, well, we're all rooting for you, John. I hope you're healthy enough to do that as well. I hope you are. By the way, we have these new microphones here. I've noticed that you are much closer to your microphone than I am. Should I be closer to this mic?
I actually wondered the opposite. Every time I edit this podcast, I'm like, should I be further away from the mic? It sounds a little bit like I'm on top of it, but I just get so, even when I move it away, I instinctually start moving it back and I start leaning in and doing, I don't know why. It's probably a really bad habit that I have. But no, when we set up your microphone, we were reading the instructions. It was 6 to 12 inches away from your mouth, and mine's usually like 4. So no, you're probably in the right here.
I am a classic microphone fidgeter.
Same.
I have this really, I have a bad tick where I do mess with the microphone an awful lot. And at the iHeart studios, the microphones weren't exactly the most securely built mics.
Oh, no.
And every once in a while, you would hear the microphone actually come unhinged and fall onto the countertop. So that would happen. And then I would have to hold this microphone for the remainder of the segment, which in sports radio, especially at that station, we had a 24-minute segment.
What?
At 760, yeah.
I mean, that's podcast like. I appreciate that, but I can't imagine holding you're Ralph Lawlering it. You're just holding the microphone for like
just
an hour.
Just holding it, yeah. Arlo White, just doing one of those right up there into the lip. I like that, like one of those horse racing guys as well. Yeah, okay, good. Well, I'm glad. These are some of the growing pains. Let's back sell just a little bit something that we did yesterday.
Yeah.
So yesterday, the primary focus of Wednesday, Section 1904, we interviewed a guy named Joe Lowery, who I thought was really good. Joe was really, really good. And I think John and I have gravitated towards this type of guest because as independent creators, as independent media now, I think we are starting to gravitate a little bit more towards independent media because, birds of a feather, right? And it's also an opportunity for John and I to learn a little bit from some of these guys like Joe who are doing it successfully. John Arnold was another one of these guys recently. We've had a handful of them on. Kareem Zidane recently joined our show. We talked a lot about sports and politics. So I'm not saying that this is going to be the forever model of Section 1904. I'm sure some of you would love to hear from AJ Preller. Maybe that's an opportunity we get somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
Just not making any guarantees or promises, but I think that would be a good thing for this podcast. I think AJ would enjoy coming on the podcast, knowing him a little bit like I do. So, ultimately those would be the kind of goals. We do want to be a bit of a tone setter here in the local media landscape. But we also did something that, just want to back sell, as they say in the business, because we posted something, the video version of this. And John, I'm going to let you explain this to everybody out there. You can go and you can listen to the podcast, obviously, if you haven't. It's available for you. I think it went about an hour. He wrote a story at a website that he created called backheeled.com. For some reason, the Backheeled Twitter account has been suspended. I noticed that when I was promoting yesterday's podcast. No. I don't know what he put out there. I don't know what he did. I didn't ask him when I followed up with him after the interview. But when I was posting that on X yesterday, I noticed that account had been suspended. So anyhow, not the point. But he wrote a story about why SDFC is potentially going to be the greatest MLS expansion team ever. And we went into some of those details and some overall thoughts. But there was video for this. And I know you and I don't want to say that we grandstanded about not wanting to do video when we launched the podcast.
No, we were just honest.
Maybe we grandstanded a little bit about not wanting to do video. But yesterday there was some video available. So I'm going to let you explain some of these details.
Okay, well, it was a little bit of an experiment. The only place that I posted the video was in the Section 1904 Discord. That is it. It didn't go anywhere else. I thought about including it in the post on section1904.com, which would also have included it in the email that paid subscribers get when I press publish on that. The reason I did that was we didn't tell Joe we were doing that. We told Joe that we would grab some clips for social media, but we didn't tell him we were going to post the entire thing. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think the email I sent him said, we don't typically post the entire video, but we'll grab some clips for social media promotion. So I didn't want to have him see that and be like, what that, feel like he was lied to. But I have realized that this software that we use to record ourselves, where we can see each other, it also records the video in addition to the audio. And streaming to YouTube or sending this video to YouTube is literally just a click of a button. Like, we normally record and there's a button up here I can click that says also stream to YouTube. And so I wanted to get a sense for how does that look? How does that sound? Do all of our mics sound roughly the same? What is the final product? How can I share that? Is there a way that we can stream that where only the paid subscribers can watch the live stream and not everybody? So I'm trying to figure some of this stuff out. Actually, right now, when I'm recording, this is technically streaming to a private video on YouTube, so no one has access to it unless I make it unprivate at some point. But all of this is in the interest of, I think we should try and be everywhere that San Diego sports fans, San Diego culture fans, people like us might be looking for content. And as much as I laugh at all the people who go and start YouTube shows and they're like, I'm going to do my YouTube show every single day. It's not that different than what we're doing here. It's just the video part has essentially just been for me and you and clips for social media. And if we're already worried about the clips for social media, we might as well maybe live stream. I know that there are people that when Ben and Woods ends at about 10 o'clock, they're like, where is it? Where is it? Sometimes I don't get it edited and published until noon. So this would be kind of feeding some of those people that A, want to watch us live, B, want to interact with us live via a chat thing, and C, want their content at 10 a.m. instead of 12 p.m. So we're constantly experimenting and trying things. And the video side of things is we're literally just dipping the tiniest little toes in. But I think on Monday, we'll probably do a live stream for everyone, public for everyone.
Whoa.
And then
Newsbreaker. Look at that. Breaking news.
We've been
John
talking
Gennaro.
about that for a couple
Let's go to the
weeks.
news desk.
And then we might start just streaming these live to paid subscribers every day who don't, for one reason or another, if they would like to see our face or they would like to interact with us while we're doing this, or they just would rather listen to us at 10 a.m. than 11 or 12. I think we're going to try that for a while and see how the community reacts to it, because that's kind of how we build, right? It's the opposite of most of the media jobs that we've been at, where you sit in a conference room and either your bosses or a consultant tells you what's going to work. We have our community and we're trying stuff and the community tells us this is great, this isn't. There's been conversation in the community about A, what we should be charging. They think we should be charging more. And B, the Discord. At first it was, hey, I want a Discord channel for this. I want one for that. I want one for this. And then the community came together and they were like, there's too many channels. It's too disruptive. The conversation's all over the place. How do I deal with this? So we're trying to figure out how to best serve our community while the community is still growing. And that the video is just a part of that.
All right. So those are some of the benefits there. Indirectly, John just pointed out, if you are a subscriber to Section 1904, for as little as $5 a month, John just said there have been some people who are subscribers who are suggesting that we charge a little bit more. I don't know. We have no plans to do that. We have no plans to do that. Just full disclosure.
Yeah, we haven't
it doesn't mean the
talked about it
plans
at all.
don't change. It just means we have no plans to do that. It's not even something that we've ever discussed other than, did you see the post on the Discord channel? But you do get the Discord access, which I will say, it took me a little while to make that part of my routine. I was much more in a social media routine, and that's pretty time consuming. I spend too much time. I mean, I'm just being like fully transparent.
On
I'm spending
Discord
too
or
much time
social media?
on other social media channels.
Yeah.
Because, then you end up getting distracted by this cat video or, this video of this boat that, got loose from its mooring and crashed into a dock.
Yeah.
And I get distracted by that stuff. I will admit,
Same.
I can fall down those wells and it's not productive. But at least with the Discord channel, I feel like now that has become one of my first stops in the morning, if not my first stop. So, I mean, that's just been my behavior. My behavior has changed as a result of this podcast, not just because I'm participating in it, just because I'm also curious what else is going on out there. Like yesterday, I kind of got into a little bit of a conversation. And I will say conversation, not like a confrontation, not an argument or anything like that. The guy's a friend of mine. His name is Omid. He was talking about the signing at LAFC of your boy's son. And, the Korean soccer player's son coming from Tottenham. He's like, I can't wait for our international player. And I was like, wow. I mean, wow, Chucky Lozano, just like an afterthought there. But I like that. Like, it's not people who are just, hucking grenades at one another. So, I think it's been good. I think it's been like good, thoughtful, good dialogue here. So I'm enjoying it. And we appreciate people that are participating. But Discord is part of it. The front row seat is a part of it. I mentioned there was a story that John included in today's front row seat. All of this for as low as $5 per month, which again is kind of where we're at. I mentioned John had a story in today's. You had a story today. I will admit I sort of saw a clip of something happening in a WNBA game. You and I are in agreement, and so are other people. We would love the WNBA to come to San Diego, right? Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we would be a part of this story if we had a WNBA team. This was, I guess this would have been yesterday or the day before. It would have been that a man was arrested. A second man has been arrested for throwing a green sex toy at a WNBA game. This is a trend now, according to Jack Baer of Yahoo Sports. A trend
it's happened
in which
times.
there are now 5 known incidents.
5? I thought there was 3.
5.
Jesus.
5 known incidents. An 18-year-old named Caden Lopez was arrested on Wednesday. That's yesterday. Police said he was caught on video throwing an object towards the court at a Phoenix Mercury game against Connecticut Sun. This according to Fox 10 in Phoenix. The object did not reach the court, though. So Caden needs to work on the arm strength here. Instead, the sex toy hit a fan who was at the game, and this fan was at the game with his 9-year-old niece. This person was booked into jail on suspicion of disorderly conduct, assault, public display of explicit sexual material. Is that a thing? I did not realize that. According to the Fox 10 report in Phoenix, where, again, it is 111 degrees, if you read Kevin Acey's newsletter. Video footage shows Lopez sitting in his seat. He retrieves the green dildo from his sweater front pocket, throws the dildo forward, stands up, and leaves the arena, says the court document. The man arrested, Lopez, reportedly apologized for his actions, described them as a, quote, stupid prank that was trending on social media. Documents show he bought the sex toy on Monday to take it to the game. The NBA is not humored by this. They are not amused. The person who was on the receiving end of this failed attempt at dildo reaching the basketball court in Phoenix is not amused and would like this person prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, saying that this person desires prosecution. But you might be saying to yourself, as John just seemingly was surprised that this is now the 5th time this has happened. The first known incident was July 29th, where one of these toys landed on the court at a Golden State Valkyries Atlanta Dream game. Similar objects have made it to the court in Chicago, Los Angeles, and Indiana, and a handful of games as well. So, yeah, thank you for including this. Our day would not be the same without knowing what is going on at these WNBA games, John. So thank you for including that. This 18-year-old, I love the line, documents reportedly show he bought the sex doll. Like, what did they go do? Like,
The documents.
What documents? Like, this is like an investigation for an 18-year-old who brought a dildo to a WNBA game and couldn't even make it to the basketball court. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I included it because it is a little humorous, right? But it's also like really dangerous. And I think this started when fans started throwing like dildos on the field at Buffalo Bills games became a thing over the last couple years. I think 2 or 3 happened. But yeah, all of a sudden people are throwing dildos at these female basketball players. And like you can feel the sexism in the idea that they did it. No one's throwing a dildo at an NBA game, at an NBA player, but they'll do it at these women. And Sophie Cunningham, who has low-key been one of the stars of the season, for better or for worse, literally posted a tweet on X. I'm still calling them tweets, even though I don't think they are anymore, that said, quote, "Stop throwing dildos on the court. You're going to hurt one of us." And the response to it, the comments, and I know it's Twitter, the comments are 100% jokes. And when it happened the first time, like a week or 2 ago, even the women on the court were told, like, a bright lime green, neon green dildo landed on the court. That's what stopped play. That's what they had to, find out who threw it, all that stuff. And you could see the women on the court telling each other and kind of giggling like, what? A lime green dildo? But then you could see the realization on their face that, like, I'm trying to make a career out of being a female basketball player, professional basketball player, and people are throwing dildos at us? And it says second, the headline here says second person arrested. I'm pretty sure the first person arrested was also male. And it's just boiling down to these men throwing dildos on the court when the women are trying to be professional basketball players, which I think is supposed to take the conversation away from the fact that these women are really good basketball players. And the story that they've been trying to get out there is that they're drastically and horribly underpaid compared to other professional athletes due to their gender. And here they are, not only being underpaid, literally having things tossed at them. And not like tomatoes, literal freaking dildos, which, I don't know. It's terrible. It is terrible. And I actually agreed with Stephen A. Smith this morning. This is news to me.
I did not watch this.
This is adjacent to this, which is Stephen A. Smith said...
this was a topic for Stephen A. Smith.
Not the dildos, although I'm sure he got into it, because why wouldn't he? But he was talking about, the league's treatment of Caitlin Clark, and he said it's only a matter of time before Donald Trump turns his attention towards the treatment of Caitlin Clark by other players in the WNBA and decides that he has to get involved in some way. And Stephen A. Smith is like, you don't want Donald Trump involved in the WNBA. I promise you don't want that. And it's everything is getting sucked into this vortex of like, can we make stuff terrible? Great, things are terrible. Now call up the terrible president to come in and make it worse. And I don't know. The whole story is it has a humorous element to it, but it also has like really dark, terrible elements to it. And that's why I think this is like the 3rd time I've included one of these stories in the front row seat, because I'm like, I just want to keep paying attention to it because I hope it goes away. I hope there's some solve for it. I think last night it was either one team or maybe the WNBA as a whole said that they were instituting a literal no bags allowed policy. You cannot bring a bag into the not the transparent bag, not even like a sweatshirt pocket, like anywhere that you could hide a dildo. No, which then obviously led to additional jokes about places you could hide a dildo that's not a sweatshirt pocket or a bag,
right.
et cetera.
That's the problem. I mean, that's the thing that's hard, no pun intended, about discussing this story is that the word itself is funny. I'm
the fact
a
that it's lime
52-year-old
green
man,
is
and
funny.
I still think the word dildo is funny. Like, I just think it's a funny sounding word. So, I think it creates a little bit of an unserious tone when you're talking about this thing that you clearly think is a serious issue in the NBA.
I think it is.
But you are right. I do think that this story might sound familiar to NFL fans, and for good reason, because there was a time where every every time the Patriots would go and visit the Buffalo Bills,
That's what it was.
it was just a matter of time before somebody would throw a dildo on the field at whatever the stadium is called. I don't know what it's called. I think it has some official title, but I'm not going to go down that road. But, for forever, it was, what was it called?
It's Highmark Stadium. It used
Okay,
to be it used to be named after somebody, right? The previous owner or mayor or something like that, I feel like.
Yeah, I've forgotten about it. But and it was specifically with the Patriots, and I think that the theory was it was specifically when Tom Brady was on the field because Bills fans generally thought that Tom Brady was a dildo.
Right.
And there was a lot of videos that were put out there of referees having to kick dildos off the football field, which, again, you'll say,
at least those guys are wearing helmets, though, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the difference here, isn't it? I guess that makes it much more severe when it comes to a basketball player that potentially is being targeted by one of these dildos. But it did remind me of these stories because it was a semi-regular subject on a radio show that we would talk about what would happen whenever it was that New England would visit Buffalo, especially on a Monday night game, because the sideline reporters would take pictures of the dildo, et cetera. And it tracked me to a story that I found that the Bills didn't find this humorous as well. They had to take a very serious tone in the public, John, as you could imagine, that they started being worried about dildos being tossed onto the field. Here's a quote that might be of interest to you. It's Patriots week, said Bills Chief Administrative Officer David Wheat. And that means we have to contemplate what's going to happen if some fan's going to throw a dildo on the field. It's kind of ridiculous. What if Josh Allen is running, steps on it, and tears his ACL?
That's what I'm saying.
What are the ramifications? What if Tom Brady gets injured? The community would never live that down. People need to realize these are professional athletes. You're literally putting their health and safety at risk. So,
I mean, this is...
I obviously, you and the chief administrator for the Buffalo Bills, you are concerned about these things because you would never live that down. The fan base would never live that down. Plus, nobody ever wants to be remembered as the player who tore their ACL when they tripped over the dildo.
No, they don't. But but on the other side of things, like the professional athletes are paid to play their sport professionally. But part of that deal is like, yes, they get paid well. The other part of the deal is that like they are given a safe environment to perform that sport. That was, look, crazy as he may be, and I'm not here to defend him. That's why Ron Artest charged into the stands when someone threw a beer that hit him in the face while he was on the side of the court. Because like you can yell almost anything you want to, not anything, but almost anything you want to at players, and they will take that, and that is fine. That's built in as like you tune that stuff out. But their safety, literally throwing things at them, no, you can't do that. And it doesn't matter if it's a dildo, if it's a beer, because I grew up in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area. If it's a battery, if it's a snowball made with a rock in the middle of it, all of these things occasionally get thrown. It is, I guess, slightly less worse when you're throwing them at players that are covered in pads and helmets and probably aren't going to get concussed by it. But like, that's the other thing. If this had hit A, the 9-year-old girl, right, or B, let's imagine it hit a WNBA player in the head and like was a hard enough hit that they got a concussion. Like that, all of this is silly and serious at the same time and deserving of attention. So I'm glad we've spent 24 minutes talking about it.
Right, to draw the conclusion. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about in the hypothetical, isn't it? Had Ron Artest been hit by a dildo, would we have had the malice at the palace?
100%. It would have been worse.
Or would that have been a disarming moment?
Would he have laughed?
Potentially, because maybe Ron Artest is deep down has a childlike mentality where it would have been amusing to him.
Yeah, but that takes out the sexism part of it for the most part, right? So while he may have found it funny, it doesn't mean that well,
it's not like some of the WNBA players haven't joked about this. Angel Reese did make a joke about this on Twitter.
Did she? What did she say?
Well, I'm not going to do the joke justice, but what she said was something along the lines of she tagged a WNBA player and said, "Hey, why don't you stop leaving your stuff on the court?" Something like that.
Okay,
It's again, and that's why when you have these serious, you try to have these serious conversations. The thing that completely undermines the seriousness of this, right? Like I could tell John's right to say like we shouldn't have these conversations. This shouldn't happen. But what undermines any serious attempt at discussing this is that it is a dildo.
Yeah,
and again, that's just a word that.
It's a funny word.
It's an automatic response for a lot of people. That's why, I do wonder. I'm serious. I'm not even trying to make a joke. Had a dildo been tossed from the stands? Had some guy smuggled in a dildo in his sweater that night? What does a dildo even cost? I don't know.
That's now the name of this podcast. What does a dildo even cost?
What does it cost that some 18-year-old can go out there, buy it in Phoenix, smuggle it in his sweater? Nobody notices that when you go through security? I mean...
Did you not get the pat down?
There's just a million more questions here that I'd love answered about this. And, had somebody done that, though, in Detroit that night, does it become a disarming moment? Does somebody end up chuckling? Had there been somebody or maybe Jermaine O'Neal finds that humorous. And I don't know. I guess we'll never know. But I guess the long and short of it, again, no pun intended here, is, just let's not... Why don't we stop doing this?
Yes,
please.
please.
Probably bad, even for the unintended humor behind it all.
Yeah, my favorite WNBA player, probably ever, but definitely currently, is Kelsey Plum, San Diego native Kelsey Plum, current Los Angeles Sparks superstar Kelsey Plum. And I take a lot of direction from her as far as how she wants to be treated as a female professional athlete. She's very open and honest about how she thinks she should be treated, and is open and honest about how the treatment she gets is oftentimes different than her male counterparts. There was a video that went viral a couple months ago of some guy kind of heckling her for an autograph, and she kind of talked shit to him right back, and people got up in arms about it, and she was like, what are you talking about? Players do this all the time. Just because I'm a woman.
She was in LA, right? She was on Rodeo Drive, I believe.
Yeah. And she said something to the guy and trying to joke about it. And she was like, yeah, this whole act is a real big turnoff for me. And everyone's like, oh, why you got to make it about sex? And she's like, I didn't. That's just a saying. Anyway, Kelsey Plum has been in, I believe, 2 of these games where the dildo has been thrown from the stands to the court, or almost all the way to the court. And both times, her reaction when she's asked about it is just go, not talk about that, let's talk about the game. Not talking about that, let's talk about the game. And it's obvious that she's the whole conversation about the WNBA can be about freaking dildos and the men that are throwing them, or we can focus on the women professional athletes that are putting out the best basketball product in the world right now, currently right this second, because the NBA is not in season. And so I'm going to take my lead from her and try as much as I can to focus on the can we stop doing this? Can we penalize these people enough that it scares other people from doing it, and get back to focusing on what I thought was a pretty good WNBA season?
Yeah, would agree with that. Social media pranks too. I have very little tolerance for any of these. So, I'm not into any of them, any of the performative stuff. I just am not a big fan. I didn't realize that this was actually a social media prank. But, that being said, there's probably a million social media pranks that I'm unaware of because I'm a boomer. And I will prove that even further here. So right before we started, that's just part of, that's just today's front row seat, by the way. One of the stories that stood out, at least to me, I was like, wait, what is this? That's the whole point of the email every day, is to make you aware of things that, while you were watching Padre baseball last night, taking 2 out of 3 against the Arizona Diamondbacks,
hey.
People were being prosecuted for tossing sex toys on the basketball courts. So, all right. But the social media prank stuff, I'm not a fan.
I think that's a convenient way of not taking blame on yourself and being I did a stupid thing. It's social media pressured me into it. My friends told me to do it. Shut up.
Am I supposed to feel bad because I laughed at some of the memes? That inside of the arena, they have the T-shirt cannon thing that they shoot the T-shirts in?
Yeah.
Did you see the one that was...
Shooting dildos?
Yeah.
No, but that's actually funny.
Yeah. All right. I don't know where the line is. So hopefully nobody feels offended by this.
By the way, wait. I forgot to mention when I brought up Kelsey Plum, I forgot to mention this. Maybe the greatest video that's ever existed. Did you ever see the video of Kelsey Plum throwing a T-shirt from the court to the stands?
Yeah, I think it was literally that video.
That
was another video that I saw.
That's funny. And it goes like 100 rows deep, and everyone's like, "Wow, what a throw!" I found out recently that the person who catches the T-shirt that she hit square in the middle of the chest, like 60, 70 rows deep at this I think it was an NBA game, was her dad. Like that might be the greatest throw that has ever existed. Like she nailed her dad from like 100 yards away with a T-shirt.
On purpose?
On purpose.
Wow.
She tried to hit her dad, and she hit her dad. It's incredible.
Wow. The Cleveland Browns might want to call her.
They probably should.
Right. Add her to the roster. They got 9 other quarterbacks there as well. Yeah, that was another one of the memes I saw, was her video of her throwing a dildo 100 rows deep into the state. Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of funny.
Who knows where the line is anymore. All right. So right before we came on, and I will admit, like I didn't, I thought this was going to be a different subject. So I was reading about the ESPN direct-to-consumer app, which is available on August 21st, John, for $30 a month?
Christ.
$30 a month, something like that. So ESPN, all of its shows, all of its programming, everything is going to be on one standalone app now. No, you do not need a cable package. You do not need YouTube TV. You don't need anything. This is going to be a completely 100% standalone app. Do you have any plans about making this app or adding this app to your well of apps that you already are paying for?
I don't have plans to. I'm going to see if I can survive without it for a while.
Okay. Well, that was my initial thought, too, because I was reading a story about the merger of the ESPN NFL deal, that merger. And, I was trying to think, like, why doesn't this feel like it's a big deal to me? And I think the answer was because I don't really watch a ton of ESPN and I don't watch the NFL. Yeah. So, like, I'm not like you. I don't get up and watch Stephen A. Smith in the morning. That's just not, it's just not part of my daily routine.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter. I don't watch Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, well, I didn't mean that to sound judgmental if you did. Plenty of people do, obviously. He makes a lot of money.
Know. Yeah.
So, I just not, it's not for me. It's just, they very, very rarely talk about the things that I want them to talk about, which, is a lot of baseball and a lot of soccer. So, from that standpoint, I thought to myself, well, this doesn't sound like it's going to appeal to me at all. This, ESPN direct-to-consumer app, I don't really see why I'm going to have to add this. And then I realized that I'm still paying for ESPN Plus. So, I've been subscribing to ESPN Plus for a couple of years, probably for about 5 years. And I looked at it, and I sign on an annual subscription rate. Want to take a guess what that costs?
Annual subscription for ESPN Plus.
It's not hard.
It's
$120. It's $10 a month.
I was going to say 150. Okay, I was close.
Yeah. All right. And I noticed that my subscription, I went on ESPN.com and somehow figured out a way to find my account. And I noticed that the subscription expires or is going to auto-renew on September 20th. And I thought, okay, what do I use this for? A little bit of tennis. Every once in a while, there's some soccer on there that I want to find. Maybe the golf, if ESPN or ABC's covering a golf tournament or ESPN Plus, they can give you some of the groups. But I would say my usage of the ESPN Plus app has probably waned a little bit in a post-USL, San Diego Loyal universe. And then I read that NFL Red Zone is also going to be included in the ESPN direct-to-consumer app. And I thought, well, I pay for that too. So I started doing a little bit of math. I was like, maybe I should just plan on getting the $30 ESPN app. So I figured out how to cancel the ESPN Plus app. And I felt pretty good about that. I think it's the first time I've ever canceled one of these streaming services, to be honest.
Look at you.
And I'm looking at the list now. MLS Season Pass. I pay for something called VIX. I wanted to watch a South American soccer game once, so still paying $6 a month for that. Peacock is now $11 a month. Peacock. I barely watch the Premier League. What am I paying that for? I do watch a lot of CBS. I do like the Galazzo channel. I watch that every day. Anyway, I won't rattle off every single subscription that I had, but I canceled this and I felt pretty good about it. I was like, okay, that's a good, smart decision. I feel better about myself. That's $120 that I'm not going to spend, although maybe I'm going to end up spending more combined with, Red Zone and such. And like, I'm kind of confused if I did the right thing because after I canceled it, I looked this up and I said, I asked the AI overview on Google, is ESPN DTC replacing ESPN Plus? And it says no. It will incorporate all of ESPN Plus's content and much more. ESPN Plus subscribers will automatically be transitioned to the new service. But the new service will also include all of ESPN's linear networks like ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU. So I'm not sure exactly what I did here. So this is our first episode of John and the Boomer. What have I done? I'm trying to figure out, like, should I not have canceled it?
I think you did the right thing. I can't imagine they're going to give everyone who's subscribed to ESPN Plus the whole $30 package for $10 a month. I don't think they're going to do that.
Not going to be grandfathered in.
No, my guess is when that September renewal kicked in, you were going to get an email going, by the way, we're renewing you at $30, but here's all the new stuff you get. That would be my guess. But I don't know for sure because I haven't looked into this because, I haven't needed to watch something on ESPN Plus in years. So I, at one point, had a subscription. I think maybe probably involved Loyal for whatever reason. I think it also involved back when I was watching more UFC fights. And now that I there is no Loyal and I'm not really watching UFC fights as much, I canceled it. And so, like I said, I'm going to wait to see if there's I fear a year or two from now, there's going to be something I want to watch that is exclusive to ESPN's DTC or whatever it's called. And I'll probably end up subscribing. But as of right now, I think you did the right thing in that I don't think you would have snuck in or been grandfathered in had you not canceled.
Right. That's what I suspect as well. I guess maybe it would just give you the option of upgrading your plan while keeping ESPN Plus, which I don't think I'm going to do. Again, I can't think of too many reasons why I need to keep this ESPN Plus subscription going. So I'm happy to move on from it. The other thing that's going to be part of the ESPN direct-to-consumer is the WWE. And that's not a thing that I'm going to gravitate towards either.
Right.
So it's ESPN, people screaming at each other. A lot of NFL, which again, two things I don't deal with. And WWE, like those are the three main selling points. Yeah. ESPN shows, NFL and WWE. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of people that'd be like, yeah, that's worth $30 a month for me, but that's not me. I'm not that guy.
But the ESPN shows are still going to be on ESPN, right?
On YouTube, right? Yes. Right. But that, okay, and I can still take that with me on my mobile devices. You're right, but I'm sure they're going to sneak some stuff there that's exclusive to ESPN DTC. Having been a former ESPN employee, I can remember when not every household had ESPN2. Believe it or not, there was a time where ESPN2 was a relatively new channel. And they were trying things on that channel, and you needed to upgrade your cable subscription if you wanted ESPN2.
That's right.
So the best way that ESPN, the way that ESPN, the strategy that they used to get people to call their cable provider and upgrade their cable subscription package to get ESPN2 or demand that it be part of their cable subscription, whichever it was they would start putting premier events on ESPN2. And their most premier event that I can remember them putting on ESPN2 was Duke Carolina college basketball with all the bells and whistles. Dick Vitale and all the big everything would be there. Pre-game, everything would be on ESPN2. And man, that really infuriated people who were ESPN subscribers. They'd be like, I don't get ESPN2. And ESPN would say, well, call your cable provider. Demand that they get ESPN2. And I don't remember if it was an extra charge or if it was just lobbed in and other cable companies weren't paying the freight. Like, it was always about money. Like every one of these deals is all about money. But they used to do that stuff, and I guarantee ESPN direct-to-consumer is going to do the same. I guarantee they're going to put some college football games there. They're going to put some NFL games there before too long. They are 100%. I mean, WWE is already going to be exclusively on the ESPN direct-to-consumer app.
Yeah,
so again,
that does
not a big drawing thing for me. Not a selling point. Don't care. But I do remember that, and when you had these big profile events and you couldn't get them, you felt like, I don't know, maybe I should figure out a way to get that done.
So I can talk about this a little bit because it's not illegal. What I do is not illegal. The way that I get my television is not illegal. It is cheap and it's a little complicated to set up, but it's not illegal. And the service I use includes like 30 channels, including ESPN and ESPN2 and ESPNU, actually, should it still exist. And it includes every NFL game, every NBA game, every NHL game, every MLB game, and pretty much every televised college football game. And the great thing about it is, like, even if the game is on, it's a baseball game, it's on Apple TV Plus, it's still in my app. They still stream it right in the app. If it's on ESPN Plus, they still stream it right in my app. So I pay like $10-12 a month, and I can basically watch any sports that I want to watch. Even if they're like exclusive to an app, they're usually in my thing, which, like, I started getting nervous for a second. I was like, do I need to resubscribe to Peacock so I can watch Sunday Night Football? I was like, no, I don't need to do that at all. It's going to be in my app. The only downside to my app is A, it's a little complicated to set up, and B, it's like a full 30 seconds behind like live television. And there was a moment in time in which I really cared about the fact that I wanted my sports to be as up to the second as possible so I could follow along with the conversation on Twitter or Discord or wherever. I don't care about that anymore. I'm okay with being 30 seconds behind because of the money I save and the simplicity of it. So I use that for pretty much all of my TV. And then I have a couple other subscriptions sprinkled around for random reasons. Disney Plus, because my kid loves it. Paramount Plus, because my wife loves watching Star Trek and it's not anywhere else. But for the most part, I keep everything in this one little app that just streams everything for me. I've tried to sell you on it before because it would be perfect for you. The downside that you don't like is it has no DVR functionality whatsoever, just live stream. And I know that that's hard for you.
ESPN's DTC, $29.99 a month. ESPN linear networks, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SEC Network, ACC Network, ESPN News, ESPN Deportes. In addition to ESPN on ABC, ESPN Plus, so there you go, ESPN3, SEC Network Plus, and ACCNX. I don't know what that is. All told, the lineup encompasses 47,000 live events each year, on-demand replay, studio shows, programming, and more. You can bundle this with Disney Plus and Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Options include ESPN Unlimited Plan with Disney Plus and Hulu for a special offer for $29.99 a month for 12 months. Now, I'm paying Disney and Hulu someplace else, I think. Maybe that's through Verizon. But WrestleMania exclusively, again, not a big point for me. What's Peacock going to do? Peacock just raised its prices. I didn't realize that part of what Peacock was charging for was wrestling. I didn't know that. I just do it for the Premier League stuff. But, and then if they put Red Zone there, which I believe is part of the plan, well, that saves me the money of getting Red Zone through YouTube TV, which is another like $11-12 a month for 4 months. Like you, I'm also trapped in one of these fantasy leagues that I can't get out of.
I'm trapped in 2.
I know. When's your draft?
I actually... So one of these leagues I'm actually like a co-commissioner of, and this
well, that's pretty bad if you're trapped in a league.
I know.
You're the commissioner.
And all off season I've been telling both of these leagues, like, I don't think I'm going to be in it this year. I don't think I'm going to be in it this year. And both of the leagues, this is how I know these guys know me too well. Both of them just basically decided to ignore my complaints, ignore my warnings, and understand that if it got close enough to the draft, I wasn't going to bail out and screw them over. And so they essentially stopped talking to me. But the other day, my co-commissioner in that one league sent me a thing. He's like, "Hey, you're good to be at the draft, right?" And I was like, "I don't know, what day and time is it?" Like, I haven't been paying attention. And so he told me the day and time, and I'm like, "I'm going to like a Michelin star restaurant that night, like literally when the draft starts." I'm like, "I'm not drafting from my phone. I will just auto draft." He's like, "You're a co-commissioner. You can't auto it." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not drafting from a Michelin star restaurant." Like, he's like, "Well, should we move it?" I'm like, "Don't move it. I don't care. Like, I don't care."
Yeah, just set it on the auto draft.
I literally don't care about either one of these leagues. I'm just stuck in them, and I don't want to let these people down, because that's the problem is you leave and then they're like, "Oh, we don't have enough, or we don't have an even number," and it's a problem. So I'm stuck. But how did we get stuck on the fantasy football thing?
Red Zone.
I mean, I get Red Zone through my $10 a month thing that I paid for.
Well, you're a little bit more of a, like I said, this is John and his boomer buddy segment here. So I guess you're taking a wait and see, whereas I'm probably just going to pay for this fucking thing and add another. Somehow I've justified it in my mind, even though I'm sure I'm paying more money. But, maybe someday I'll be able to cancel YouTube TV. I'm not sure. I think the thing that I need most is just the ability to have multiple streams. Since I live in one of these houses where you have a television every 5 feet.
I mean, the thing I use, I've had it running on like every TV in the house and never had a problem before. But again, it does have its drawbacks. It's 30 seconds behind. There's no DVR. It's a little complicated to set up, but once I got it set up, I'm very happy with my setup. That being said, things like ESPN for $30 a month, that's going to be a business write-off for you, buddy.
Correct. Well, these are all write-offs, technically.
Yeah.
So we have a good accountant, and these are things that I need. That VIX channel, VIX, every once in a while, Club Tijuana, which eliminated, sadly, from Leagues Cup competition last night. John, I'm sure you were heartbroken by that result.
I was.
Yeah. Just a handful of games tonight that still matter. I'm sure you'll be tuned in watching, whichever ones they are. I think I wrote them down here somewhere. But every once in a while there's a soccer game. I'm like, I kind of would like to watch that. Like I'd kind of like to watch that, Argentina-Brazil game. Where is it? Oh, it's on this VIX channel? Okay. Well, maybe I'll go find that somehow and pay for it. And, that's kind of the world that we live in when it comes to streaming. So I'll probably just deal with it. I'll probably just deal with the thing. I've already started laying the groundwork for it. So why stop now? Plus it'll give me something to talk about on the show. So I'll be able to do that as well. All right, Padres took 2 out of 3. Off day today. Red Sox tomorrow. I don't know how convincing this series was, but honestly, what difference does it make? They won 2 out of 3 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. It felt like it was closer because of what happened in Game 2 with the extra innings. But listen, I think that the new players have started to settle in. I think you can fairly say that. Laureano's looked really good. Fermin has looked really good. Miller, I know he gave up the 2-run bomb the other night, but still, I think, I mean, that guy for me, I sit up in my seat when he comes into the game. I mean, I don't know about you.
No, but yes.
Cortez was good. I mean, I thought he was okay. I thought he was, for his, he's been coming back from injury and such. I was like, okay, that's an encouraging start. The one guy that's been bad was Sears, and they optioned him. So, from that standpoint, and the Ahern stuff was a little confusing, but he justified it last night. Even on the post-game show, he said, like, I had a chance to do something and contribute, and that I was given an at-bat against a left-hand hitter, and that I took advantage of that in that inning. Listen, it wasn't the most convincing series win that I've seen, but I think it's one you just say, get us to the off day, get us to the Red Sox. Next week, San Francisco and LA. So we did what we went there to do, and that's our bottom line.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. For his first MLB start since I think April, if not like March, I thought Nestor Cortez looked really good. I love watching that man pitch. It just, everything looks so low effort, but it's not. But I thought he was good, a little shaky to begin with. But again, first MLB start since April. Like that's a hard thing to get in that mentality. By the way, the Padres, the way that they have their roster set up right this second is they have 4 starting pitchers. They're going to need a 5th to pitch on Saturday so that Dylan Cease gets his full week of rest and Darvish gets his full week of rest and Nestor Cortez gets its full 5 days of rest. So it looks like, unless there's someone else they're going to call up, unless it's going to be JP Sears, it looks like Saturday is going to be Michael King's return. Mm-hmm. At which point, you have a starting rotation of Dylan Cease, Yu Darvish, Nick Pivetta, Michael King, and Nestor Cortez. That's a really good 1 through 5 and a really good top 3, top 4 specifically to go with this bullpen, to go with this lineup that now feels very deep all of a sudden. All of this is great. It's all coming together the way that I imagine AJ Preller envisioned it coming together. I want to talk about a Schilt decision last night. And it's not even, I don't want to criticize it. I just want to talk about it because I'm interested by it. And it's none of the bunts. I don't want to talk about the bunts. Get the bunts out of my life unless they're coming from Freddie Fermin. Mason Miller closing the game last night was a strange choice for a number of reasons. One, Mason Miller does not throw back-to-back nights very often. Number 2, Mason Miller had blown a save and thrown 24 pitches the night before. I said after they acquired Mason Miller, I don't know if I wrote this or said it in a podcast, that Mason Miller will be useful as a backup closer when Robert Suarez has already closed on back-to-back nights. He's already thrown on back-to-back nights, and they need a closer for the third night. Robert Suarez did not pitch on Monday, and he only threw 15 pitches on Tuesday. There's almost no reason that Robert Suarez shouldn't have closed that game last night. And I think Schilt gave it to Mason Miller because he was like, I want to get you back to a good place. You just blew a save. You're probably heartbroken. You're being introduced to a new fan base. I want to get you back to a good place. Here is an opportunity to close a game. But that's an opportunity kind of taken away from Robert Suarez. If you're asking me whether that's a good decision or a bad decision by Mike Schilt, my answer is probably good decision, but that's also with the benefit of hindsight that it actually worked out. But it's a very interesting decision, if nothing else. Did you see the same thing? Did you think about that at all?
I didn't go as far as to count the pitches that Suarez threw the previous night or to have it committed to memory. I think maybe there's some validity to, we want this guy to feel good before we go into the off day and we go and face the Boston Red Sox. I mean,
for sure.
a little bit of redemption out there. Like, that the first batter too was Gurriel was great.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was really good. Like that was fun drama. That was a fun thing to watch. You're like, is this guy just going to try to fire the heater past him again? Instead, it was like boom, 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 slider, slider, slider.
Yeah.
Right? Like 3 pitches.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not the only person who started going, immaculate inning upcoming here. Maybe. So, like that was just good theater. It was good drama. I think I probably just more enjoyed it from that standpoint than I did thinking about it, like the purposes behind it or what was going on or why a decision like this was being made or whether there was validity to it. Maybe it was just the up and down of Robert Suarez. Sometimes it's not about the amount of pitches, it's the up and down and the time between. Because, right, he didn't just go a single inning, didn't he? He actually came in the end of one inning, and then he pitched the following inning. So I think, like, when you said 15, I was like, wait, is that it? Because it felt like he threw like an inning and 2/3.
No, no, you're right. Okay, so he came in, he got 2 guys out, and then, he pitched an inning and 2/3. You're right. He pitched the last 2/3 of the 9th and then the whole 10th.
And that was only 15 pitches?
Has only 15 pitches.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the up and down sometimes is probably what you're also factoring in. I'm not saying you factor in. Yeah, so I guess it didn't occur to me. I didn't realize that he only threw 15 pitches. And, like I said, I was more intrigued by the drama. I thought it was just kind of good theater to be watching Miller. And then I saw him on the mound, and I will admit, I don't know that I found this story that I posted on the Discord channel about him. I didn't know much about his backstory. I didn't know he's a type 1 diabetic. I didn't know that he was this close to not ever finding his big league career at all. He kind of got wrapped up at a time out of college, out of high school. It was around COVID, and there were some eligibility issues, and some scout found him, and he ended up transferring from one school to the next. Like, he is a player that almost slipped between the cracks. Like when you read this story, this long story, it was from 2022, so it's 3 years old, and he's just a prospect at this time. I don't even know how I came across this story, but like he was a player. Oh, I know how I came across it. I went to his Wikipedia page, and I noticed one of the details. There are scant details about Miller on this page, John, on his Wikipedia page. Somebody out there needs to do a better job of updating us on who this person is. But one of the details that they offer on his Wikipedia page is that he's an Eagle Scout.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, okay, that seems like an interesting thing to point out. I want more information. So I clicked one of the tabs there in one of the stories, and it directed me to this piece that was written about him when he was in the minor leagues. And it's, he almost gave the whole thing up before he realized he was type 1 diabetic. He lost a bunch of weight. And then he was taking a physical for a job or something, and the job pointed out, hey, there's something off with your blood. And then he figured out he had diabetes, and then he put on a bunch of weight once he started receiving the proper treatment. And then that allowed him, because I also was like, how does somebody realize that they can throw this fast? Like that's a skill. Like, how many people out there in the world have the ability to throw a ball 102, 103 miles per hour and maybe just don't even realize it, Like, how does somebody even realize this, that they have that capability? And it explains, like, how he got built up, but also how he got caught in a period of time where he was very close to deciding just to pursue something else in life. He was just going to go into business or whatever it was, or human resources. I don't remember. But instead, he figured out a way to get another year of eligibility, and that turned into something where he then transferred to another place, and some scout followed him from one place to the other. And I was like, that's a cool backstory on him that I never even realized. That there are these guys, and this was, again, written about him when he was in the minor leagues with the A's. But I found myself wanting to learn a little bit more about the guy. So anyhow, I don't know why I started talking about this.
No, can I add to that? Because I have an interesting thing to add to that. So I did the same thing when Mason Miller was acquired by the Padres. I did some Googling. I found out that I think I found a story on The Athletic about him, discovering the type 1 diabetes and how it almost derailed his whole
that's the same story
career.
that I posted.
Yeah. The part of it I didn't know that I found later, I think it was a Section 1904 listener actually who sent it to me on maybe a Discord DM or something and was like, look into this. And I looked into it, and the person ended up being right. Michael King, starting pitcher for the San Diego Padres, due back this week. Did you know Michael King and his wife have a type 1 diabetes foundation?
I did not.
It's called King of the Hill.
Nice.
It is called King of the Hill because Michael King's wife's name is Sheila Hill. It's not Sheila King, Sheila Hill. Sheila Hill, I'm going to read a paragraph from the story on MLB.com. Sheila Hill was living in New York City when her father, the board president of the New York Long Island chapter of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, planned to run the 2018 New York City Marathon. I'm jumping in the middle of the story, doesn't matter. The Hill family was heavily impacted by type 1 diabetes. Sheila Hill's mother, aunt, cousin, and great-grandfather all lived with type 1 diabetes. They have a board because, it's a foundation. You need to have a board. The board, pushes the foundation in a certain direction, keeps track of budgets, et cetera, et cetera. On the board of Michael King and Sheila Hill's King of the Hill Type 1 Diabetes Foundation, Mason Miller.
How about that?
He was already on the board as a member of the Sacramento A's, Vegas A's, Oakland A's, whatever. And now he gets to also be teammates with Michael King. I thought that was a very interesting connection. As much as I love the fact that Nestor Cortez was walking into a team where he already knew like 5 guys from previous stops, I think it's pretty cool that Mason Miller walks in and he's immediately teammates with the guy whose foundation he's already on the board of.
Yeah. Again, all this was sort of news to me, so I thought it was kind of cool to read all of that last night. I was like, oh wow, what a cool backstory a guy has. So good for him.
I liked his quote. I liked his quote when he was talking about building up and how he kind of realized he could throw faster and faster. And his quote was, "Mass is gas." He was like, the more weight he was able to put on, the faster he was able to throw. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, going to be here for a while, so we might as well, learn a thing or two about these people.
Sure.
Even if you only care about what it is that they can do out there on the mound, so give it a shot. All right, I think we'll leave it there. And John, you want to preview what's coming up tomorrow?
Okay, so tomorrow we're having on Chef Emily Brubaker. She recently won a reality TV cooking contest on NBC, now on Peacock. If you want to go back and watch it, it's called Yes Chef. The celebrity, because there's always a celebrity chef who's the judge. The celebrity chef judges are Martha Stewart and Jose Andres. So 2 of the biggest names in cooking, maybe ever, are the judges. They're in like almost every scene. My wife and I started kind of binge watching it last night. I think we got through 3 or 4 of the 10 episodes. If you've seen a cooking competition show, it looks like a cooking competition show. But Chef Emily is really interesting. It's really interesting to watch one of these shows knowing who the winner is going to be and seeing kind of the directorial decisions that they've made along the way and what they're trying to highlight, who they're trying to highlight and why. But we're going to have her on, 1, to talk about that experience, 2, just to talk about the food and beverage industry, specifically in San Diego, but also in Las Vegas, because we were talking about Las Vegas the other day, and she has essentially cooked her way to the top of Las Vegas And then it seemed like she took a break for 2 or 3 years. I'm gleaning some of this from what I watched on the show, to spend more time with her family and her kids. She got back into cooking, kind of got back to the top, and then decided she wanted to move her family back to my neighborhood, La Costa, in this area of Carlsbad, because this is where she grew up. And she did that, and now she cooks at the Omni La Costa. I think she's in charge of kind of all the restaurants at the Omni La Costa. But she's a really interesting person who just did a really interesting thing. And I know we've been dying to talk a little bit more about the food and beverage and a little bit tourism industries with somebody. It feels like we can do that with her in addition to talking about her experience on this show. She also has previously been on Chopped. I don't know whether or not she won Chopped, but she's a very fun personality, and based off what I've seen on TV, an excellent chef.
Good. Like it. Always down to talk a little bit of F&B, a little bit of food and beverage.
Sure.
The other pathway of the two pathways that I had in my life: sports media, restaurant, and hotels.
So you were due to burn out either way.
Correct. 100%. Yes. There's something self-destructive about those decisions. So let that give you a little bit of glimpse into how I was raised.
Yeah. Also, next week, probably, or the week after, I have a lot of friends who are fantasy football experts. One of them, my buddy Matt Harmon, I was texting with this morning, hosts one of the biggest fantasy football podcasts in the world, that I used to be his producer. He also has his own separate website, independently run website, where he does like film breakdowns of wide receivers, to kind of predict their fantasy football future. We'll probably have him on at some point, but there are two guys I worked with at Yahoo, Andy Behrens and Dalton Del Don, who I imagine, kind of like me with Yahoo, they got caught up in layoffs, and they've gone our route. They teamed up together and they have gone independent. They just started a website that launched yesterday called The Deep Shot. You can find it at thedeepshot.com. That has a lot of fantasy football information. So we will have one or both of those guys on. Matt Harmon will probably come on at some point as well. So anyone listening to this, well, we're probably not going to be geeking out over football all the time. We are going to need some help with our own fantasy football teams, and hopefully that ends up helping the people who listen to this show as well.
Yeah, and by that we mean us, most importantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're this is a completely self-serving thing to do for sports radio hosts, which is like, would you take this guy or that guy? Would you start this guy or that guy? I just stumbled across my Leagues Cup notes for anybody that's still interested. I will say Galaxy has a chance here tonight. Galaxy does have a chance. And people will laugh and say, Galaxy? LA Galaxy's terrible. Yeah, they've had a terrible MLS season. They were historically bad to start the year. Not just for a reigning champ, but for any team ever.
Yeah.
Worst start of any team. But that's the whole point of these tournaments, these midseason tournaments.
Give you another chance to win a cup.
Yeah, think about Crystal Palace in the Premier League, which finished, 10th, 11th, 12th, something like that. Won the FA Cup. Think about Tottenham. Tottenham would finish 17th in the league or whatever the hell it was. Fired their manager, best player ever left. But, they got that European Cup.
We got a cup.
Got the Europa Cup. So, that's the thing for Galaxy. Galaxy's got a chance tonight against eliminated Santos team. So, at Dignity Health, they win by 2 goals. I think that they're through. Seattle, Miami, of course, is through. Red Bulls have a chance. Puebla and Juarez for Liga MX battling it out for that final spot. But this is the point of this. This is the only chance that Galaxy, I don't think they're in U.S. Open Cup, but I might be mistaken. But if Galaxy wins this, they might have a chance of winning a little bit of silverware this year. And I don't know that everybody would sit around and throw roses at them and tell them that this was a successful season, but winning trophies when for people that are new to soccer or MLS, winning something matters. Like clubs like Seattle, LA, Galaxy, Chicago, these clubs, they've been around a long time, obviously. So But those are the kind of clubs, their ambitions when they start a year is we want to win trophies. Yeah. You want to win everything, obviously, and you can prioritize what it is you want to win. Is it league? Is it CONCACAF Champions Cup? Is it if you get the opportunity to play in the FIFA Club World Cup? I don't know, whatever. Sometimes, is it a consolation prize to go out and win Open Cup? I don't know. But if you're an ambitious club, you want to win trophies. So, that's the name of the game in the sport. Certain clubs have different standards. Like FC Barcelona wants to win Europe. Winning the Copa del Rey, nobody's going to sit around and be like, whoa, wow, what an amazing season. But a team like, Athletic Bilbao, they win the Copa del Rey, the Spanish domestic cup.
Big deal.
75,000 people show up on the shores of the river in Bilbao, and shower them with praise. So, it's just a little glimpse into the sport and the way it's structured. It is a little bit of a rewiring for the traditional U.S.-based soccer fan. All right, enough of that. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for your patience, your loyalty, and for your support. Most importantly, we appreciate that as well. We'll see you on the Discord channel a little later on tonight, and we thank you very much for all that you do. For John and Darren, we'll see you tomorrow.